Hi there, I'm Viet Thanh Nguyen, author of The Committed. Today I'm taking over the Barnes & Noble Instagram. Come on in.
How did it feel to win the Pulitzer Prize?
Well, it was a shock, of course. I mean, a pleasant shock. Nothing better could have happened to me. But it really upended my life for an entire year because all of a sudden I got very busy doing interviews, giving talks, and that's really disruptive to the writing. So I didn't write on The Committed for at least a year or two because of that experience. Not complaining, it was an awesome, awesome thing to happen to me, and it totally changed my life.
What was your inspiration for writing The Committed?
Well, when I got done with The Sympathizer, I realized I wasn't finished with the narrator of the novel. And I wanted to continue his story, and the best place to do it was to go to Paris so I could have some time in Paris myself. He's half French, half Vietnamese, and after he escapes from the re-education camp at the end of The Sympathizer, he makes his way to Paris, to the land of his father, the city of light, and falls into more misadventures, which is where The Committed takes up his story again.
How did it feel to start writing a second novel after winning the Pulitzer Prize?
Well, I had already written 50 pages of The Committed before the Pulitzer Prize happened, and I was having a great time writing it because no one really was caring very much or paying any attention. The Sympathizer was a success, but that was not such a big deal until the Pulitzer Prize. And then after the Pulitzer Prize, writing The Committed became so much more difficult because there were so many more challenges to my time, and I knew that people were paying attention now, and there was so much more pressure for that novel.
Share a short story of your time in Paris. Why were you there and what did you do?
Well, I'd always been in love with Paris ever since I went there as a backpacker many, many years ago. And then my wife and I honeymooned in Paris, and we always promised ourselves that we would come back and spend much more time there. So with The Committed set in Paris, it was an easy decision to go and spend a couple of summers there, living in the Marais and the 11th arrondissement, which are our favorite neighborhoods. We had a fabulous apartment, and there I could get some writing done. I could also visit the French libraries when it was particularly hot and there was air conditioning, and I could do some work there. And I had this great opportunity also to give readings from The Sympathizer at the American Library in Paris and at Shakespeare and Company. I talked about my book, The Refugees, and that's a legendary bookstore. So it was a fantastic opportunity. I had such a beautiful time in Paris. And the reception of The Sympathizer there was very, very positive. And I had a chance to return to celebrate the fact that the book won the Best Translation Prize from the French American Foundation due to my fabulous translator, Clément Baude. And who needs an excuse to go to Paris? I just regret that we haven't been able to come back for a couple of years because of the pandemic.
Can you please give us a tour of your writing space and share a little bit about your writing process?
Most of my life, I wrote in a corner of a bedroom facing a blank wall. So I'm really lucky now for the past couple of years to have this office with these bookshelves and the books that I should be reading just for pleasure and for work. And over here, this is the workspace itself, and with the various projects that I'm working on now or just finished. Like this is a stack of notes for The Committed. This is a stack of notes and books and so on for the nonfiction book that I'm working on now. I just want to point out this part. This is really special to me. These are the original illustrations that the artist T-Boy did for a conversation that we had together for the paperback edition of The Best We Could Do, her fabulous comic book memoir. It was a real pleasure to have this, to do this with her and then have this memento. And then here's the writing and teaching space. Everything happens at home now, so I teach here, I write here. And what I do is, when I'm not teaching, I write 4 hours a day or 1,000 words, whichever comes first. When I am teaching, I don't get very much writing done. So the lesson here is, it's great if you can write every day. If you can't, that's okay. The important thing as for a writer is to persist and to endure, because there's going to be a lot of rejections along the way. The Sympathizer, for example, was rejected by 13 out of 14 publishers before Grove Atlantic and my editor, Peter Blackstock, bought it. I'm still with them for The Committed. And I think the lesson for writers is you just believe in yourself, keep on working, and that's just the life of a writer.
What are you reading these days? Do you have any recommendations?
So I wanted to start off by showing off a book that I've already read a long time ago, and I know you have too, Beloved, because this is the first edition of Beloved. It's a real privilege to have that. And it's also a privilege to have this first edition of Edward P. Jones's Lost in the City, a masterful short story collection, which was a big influence on my short story collection, The Refugees. And recently I had so much fun reading Charles Yu's Interior Chinatown, which just won the National Book Award in Fiction, about the travails of an actor called simply the generic Asian man as he struggles against Hollywood stereotypes. And then Gina Apostle's Insurrecto, a brilliant novel about the Philippine Revolution and its aftermath in history and memory. And finally, Steph Chaz's Your House Will Pay, a thriller about the Los Angeles riots and its consequences for a Black and Korean family. Really, really recommend it. A fantastic page turner.
What's your favorite cocktail? Can you please share a recipe?
Well, my favorite cocktail is called the Sympathizer. I was really lucky because a book representative for my book distributor, Andrea Tetrick, liked the Sympathizer so much, she came up with a recipe for it. You can find it here in a literary cocktail party with a lot of other recipes for cocktails by other writers. But it's very simple. It's equal parts of Cynar, Aperol, bourbon, and lemon juice, and I've already made the mixer here. And you take 1 ounce of the Sympathizer mixer, pour it into a champagne flute, and then 2 ounces of your favorite bubbly champagne, or in this case, a French sparkling wine that Andrea recommended to me and which I'm recommending to you as well. It's called Saint-Hilaire, and you can buy it online for $11 or $12, and it's a fabulous substitute for champagne for mixing cocktails. So there you have it, the Sympathizer.
Any last words for your viewers today?
Thanks so much for spending time with me in my house and letting me share a little bit about The Committed. It comes out on March 2nd. And thanks to Barnes & Noble for letting me take over your Instagram for today. I will see you on virtual book tour in bookstores around the country. Bye, folks.